Hi, everyone. Welcome to another thrilling OWASP Toronto chapter meetup. My name is Jack Enders, and I'll be hosting the event tonight. We're just going to give people another 5 minutes or so to trickle in. But in the meantime, we'll have a chat with our guest tonight, Abhi. So yeah, Abhi, I guess the first question I had for you is I know you actually founded the OWASP TimeGap Theory project. Like, what inspired that? What kind of prompted you to create the project?
Uh, that's a good question, and there is an interesting story behind it. I used to do threat modeling every day for past 3 or 4 years. I have been doing that on a daily basis. And in one of the threat modeling sessions, I was looking at the software design, and I said, "Hey, this looks like this is vulnerable to TOCTOU or race conditions, you can say." And most of the people sitting in that room did not know what I was talking about. They were like, "Hey, what is that?" Because people generally have a tendency to go with OWASP top 10 or SANS top 25, those type of issues. And these are considered to be negligible, so nobody knew about TOCTOU. And I had to explain what it is since people did not know. And I was like, hey, this is a serious issue. People should know. And then I started doing some research around, hey, what are the platforms in which I can show the demo of a TOCTOU issue? Because otherwise it is just in a theory, right? And I did not find anything interesting. There were a few projects like OWASP Juice Shop and WebGuard project, and they had TOCTOU issues in there, but it was like just one single challenge in a very big ocean, right? And I wanted something that can showcase multiple levels or multiple scenarios in which TOCTOU can happen. And that's how I thought of, hey, I'll create a lab. When I created the lab, then I was like, hey, I can release this, but no one would know. Then I wrote a guide, and that became a book. And yeah, that's how the project was born. So yeah, and this is the book I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. I actually really love the book. Is there anything that like inspired the illustration style or anything like that? I feel like it's like so much more exciting than a lot of other open source projects that are out there right
now. Sure. So yeah, there are a few aspects to it. One is that you can see dinosaurs in it, and dinosaur is the cover page, and it is the theme. So if you look inside, there are lots of pictures of dinosaurs in it. So my project is titled Time Gap Theory, right? And it is the security issue itself is about a time gap between time of check and time of use. When I was creating this project, and I wanted a logo for this project, and I was thinking, hey, what can I use? And then I was like, hey, my son, I have a toddler, and he's fascinated by dinosaurs, and he have lots of dinosaur toys over here. My house is full of it. So I was like, hey, so that inspired me to take dinosaur. And when I think about it, the moment when we came to know about dinosaurs, it got extinct, right? And it vanished. So between the time of their existing, like the time of use, or when we checked the time of check, there is a time gap there. So in a way, it represents the time gap theory that I'm talking about. So I thought, hey, it would be cool. And when I started writing the book, I was like, hey, who's going to read it? If I am going to read this book, it needs to be like, if it is long text, nobody's going to read it. So I wanted something every now and then to have some pictures so that people will be like, hey, yeah, this is interesting. So I took that approach, and I think it worked. At least few people said, hey, that kept us interesting throughout and made us read throughout the book entirely. So I think it worked. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like the production value seems super high, and yeah, it was definitely intriguing to me. But yeah, so it's been 5 minutes. It looks like we have a few other people on the stream now. So I will let you take the talk away. For everybody watching, just really quickly, if you have any jobs or you're looking for a job, feel free to post that in the chat. And if you have any questions, just put it in the chat and we'll read it to Abhi so he can answer it throughout the talk. But yeah, take it away and looking forward to it.
Thank you, Jack. So first of all, thanks to OWASP Toronto for having me. I spent 2 years writing this book and making this project and everything. So having some people to listen to about the journey and the knowledge, because if people are not getting benefited from the stuff that I made, it is of no use, right? So I really appreciate getting this opportunity. All right, so today's talk is titled Learn How to Find and Exploit TOCTOU Issues in Web Apps with OWASP TimeGap Theory. OWASP TimeGap Theory is a project. It's an open source project. And that it is a vulnerable CTF-style application written in PHP and MySQL. And it is entirely focusing on TOCTOU issues. So you must have heard similar deliberately vulnerable applications like Cloud Code, Web Code, or Juice-Drop, and all of them have security issues from multiple areas, right? And this one focuses only on TOCTOU issues. And in today's session, we will see how you can find and exploit them. So my name is Ibm Balakrishtan. I work as a security consultant in SecurityCompass. I hail from India and I live in Mississauga now. I'm a creator of these projects which are listed in here. If you have heard of them, great. Otherwise, I'm sure you will find them interesting. So maybe you can Google them after the session. Before going ahead, I just wanted to make a statement that this is a personal project, so it is not connected to my employer. Opinions, code, and ideas are all my own. This is going to be the agenda for today. I will give you the story behind the project. I will introduce the project to you and give you some tools and techniques along with tips and tricks on finding and exploiting TOCTOU issues in web applications. Then I will share some interesting facts around TOCTOU as well. Then I'll share the links as well so that you can go back home and do these practices yourself. Throughout this session, I may use these 4 terms interchangeably, but when I say TOCTOU or time of check to time of use or concurrency issues or race conditions, I'm referring to the same thing. TOCTOU is a subset of race conditions, to be honest. So it is like it is a separate, a special type of race condition vulnerability. We will talk about that in detail soon. By the end of the session, you will be a TOCTOU champion. That I can promise. All right, so let's start with the scenario. Say, for example, you want to go for a movie, and you want to sit in your favorite seat. It can be any seat. Maybe you want to sit in the middle. Maybe you want to have a perfect audio balance or whatever. So there is a personal favorite, and you want that seat. So if you go directly to the theater, you may not get that seat. So you want to book the ticket online, and you decided to do that. So you go to your browser, you go to that website, you see whether the seat is available or not, and to your luck, the seat is available. So it's great so far. Now, in order to book the ticket, you click on the Book Now button, but then it will ask you to maybe create an account or sign into your account, put in your contact information, phone number, email address, those type of things. And it takes some time to do that, right? Either for signing in or creating an account or entering card information. All of those things are going to take time. And once you have completed all of that, then you will click on the final Book Now button. But the seat is gone. So what exactly happened? So what happened was that there was a time gap between the availability check, when the moment when you first checked whether the seat is available or not, and when you actually booked the ticket. And within that time, someone else came in and booked the ticket. And that's how the ticket is gone, and now you have to find some other seats. So what if, in this case, the other person got the ticket before you and you did not get the ticket. But what if both of you click on the Book Now button together at the same time? You and the other person sitting in some other part of the world, they are clicking on the Book Now button together. In a practical scenario, still there can be imbalances, right? The requests are not going to be identical, because one person may have better performing computer, they may have faster internet, and the latency issues, those type of things. Because of that, one booking can happen before the other. But consider this scenario in which all of them are equal, or there is a misbalance, but both the requests are reaching at the same time. Now, what will the application do? So applications are designed to, so when you design an application, when you write an application, you only think of one particular thread, one thread. But when the application operates in the production environment, it can handle multiple threads. But you rarely keep that in mind while developing an application, right? So the application is not designed to handle such a situation. So what will the application do? Will the app book this, will it book the same ticket for the two people for the same show? That wouldn't look good. And that is, or it is going to prioritize one request over the other. But the application is not designed to do that. So it can't give you, so one scenario is the application is prioritizing one request over the other, or denying both requests. But for businesses, they want the booking to happen, right? So, so what if the application ends up booking the same, like two tickets for the same show, for the same seat at the same time? And those type of things can happen. And that's what happened to Starbucks back in 2015. In 2015, a researcher bought gift cards from Starbucks. And with Starbucks gift cards, you can transfer money from one gift card to the other. So what that person basically did was that they bought few cards, kept on transferring money between these cards. So when you transfer money from one gift card to the other, what the application does is it checks whether the card has enough balance or not. Say if you are transferring $20, it will check the originating account or originating card has $20 or not. Then it will reduce that amount from the initial card, and it will add the same amount on the final destination. So if you keep on, if you can send multiple parallel threads of money requests, maybe 2 or 3 threads will get $20 balance check through approved or clear for those threads, even though it doesn't have that. So say, for example, the card has only $20, then there are 2 threads going in saying, hey, transfer $20 to some other card. and both the requests may get, hey, yeah, the card has $20, and it will transfer $20 2 times, and the receiving card may get $40 in $40 at the end. And that is exactly what happened with Starbucks. So I was sitting in a threat modeling session, and I had similar use case in there, abuse case in there, and I said, hey, this is the type of issue, and I had to explain what it is. And then even then, I came to know that, okay, whenever I raise these issues to people, they say, hey, it is a corner case. It is very hard to exploit, right? And exploiting it requires people setting up multiple machines and sending threads at the same time. So it needs sophisticated tools. And one of the argument was that, hey, modern databases will take care of TOCTOU issues by default. There are some databases like ACID databases which can take care of these issues to some extent, but not all databases can do that. And Starbucks abuse case was very popular amongst people. So when they think of TOCTOU issues or race conditions, they only think about that. They say, hey, only money transfer kind of scenarios can get affected by TOCTOU issues. I Googled for these type of issues and found that majority of the write-ups, pen testing reports or bug bounty reports you see out there are talking about money transfer kind of scenarios. And I knew that TOCTOU issues can affect other scenarios as well. It is not just limited to money transfer kind of scenarios. So that's why I built a vulnerable application called OWASP TimeGap Theory to show that, hey, there are different scenarios where TOCTOU issues can happen. It is not just the time transfer, money transfer kind of scenarios. So I'm taking questions in between as well. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer during the session itself. If there are any, please let me know. So far, I don't see any questions, so I'll go ahead. So talking about OWASP TimeGap Theory, I also wrote a book on this subject, and it is, and this is that book. And you don't have to pay for this book if you go to book.timegaptheory.com, or if you just go to timegaptheory.com and you can find the link. The online version is free. Only the physical copies are paid. It is an open source project. Like I said, it is a CTF style. So there are 7 different challenges. So when you complete them, you will earn points. There is a Heroku and Docker version. So if you just want to learn how it is, you can launch a Heroku instance yourself and play with it to learn TOCTOU issues. But if you want to do some experiments, or if you want to run some scanners or some other tools against this lab, then you can get the Docker version and run it on your local system. Then there is a bullet time feature. I will talk about that in the next session, next slide. And it also supports dark mode and snow mode. All right, so this is how the home page of OWASP TimeGap Theory looks like once the lab is up and running. If it is on Heroku, it will be a different URL. But if it is on Docker, you will have localhost TimeGap Theory, and that's where you can find the lab. Now, this is the score page. This is where you can see the progress. Like I said, there are 7 different challenges. On the top right side, you can see 3 buttons. The score page, so when you click that, you will see this particular page. Web app is the directory where you should be doing all the tests. So you should not be touching any other places. You may find some other security issues in other sections, and in the web app section as well. It is not just limited to TOCTOU, but it is mainly focusing on TOCTOU. Then in the settings page, you can fine tune some settings. I will walk you through that as well. All right. So so when you go to web app page, click on the web app button. This is the welcome screen you are going to see, and this is where you should focus all your tests on. And settings page. So in settings page, you can see 3 different settings. First one is main wait, and that is the database waiting period. So what does that mean? So if it is 0, the application will act normally. So right now the main wait time is 3 seconds. So that means for every write operation in the web app in the TimeGap Theory lab, the application will wait 3 seconds before performing the write operation. So it is done so that you can understand TOCTOU issues closely when you are exploring, like when you are learning, and the time gap will give you some time to perform some actions. We will see that in detail in coming slides. Mars wait is similar to main wait, but it only affects one particular page. There is a challenge called Mars, going to Mars, so it is only for that. Maximum logins is the 3rd setting. That is for brute force protection. So in the login page, there is a brute force protection in place. So if you put 10 there, after 10 incorrect attempts, the account will get logged out and the user wouldn't be able to log in. And it is about test accounts. You still would be able to access the lab and go to admin and clear these accounts and create new accounts and everything. It is just the test accounts that will be affected. And this is not permanent. You can reset the database and all these restrictions will go away. I'll pause for a second to see if anyone have any questions.
No, I don't see any questions in the chat.
Sure, thank you, Adam. All right, so the bullet time feature, yeah, it is not really Hollywood style. We will see that in action soon. So let's look at one of the challenges. So in this session, I will walk you through 2 challenges, and but when you go to the lab, you can see all the 7 challenges, and maybe you can try solving them, and I'm sure you will learn one or 2 things more when you do it by yourself. So the login page is simple. There is okay. The screenshot you are seeing is of the sign up page, but in the login page is not that different. It would be just email and password. And on the top, you can see there are 4 buttons: Tom, Jerry, Spike, and Tag. And that is there to make the testing easy. So if you click on Tom, what will happen is that it will automatically fill the form. The name would be Tom or lowercase letters. Password would be Tom, again, lowercase letters. And the email would be tom@timegaptheory.com. Similarly, for Jerry, Spike, and Tag, it will be Jerry, all lowercase. The name and password would be Jerry, and the email would be jerry@timegaptheory.com. You can see this in the sign-up page and login page. So you don't have to actually enter test account usernames and passwords there. You can just click on the button and it will fill the form for you. And let's look at the login page and how it works. So then the first step, the user will enter username and password. And our application is built in PHP. So the PHP portion will check the username and password, and login count on database. And on 3rd step, if a username password match is found, and that means the username and password entered by the user is correct, it will also check the login count to see if it is less than 3. So the 3 is our brute force protection limit. So if a user enters incorrect username and password more than 3 times, the account will get logged out. So it will check whether the count is more than 3. If it is less than 3, it means the brute force protection is not kicked in. That means a session can be created. And that is the happy path. Fourth scenario, fourth step is when an email match is found, but not password. That means the user entered the email correctly, but the password is wrong. That means it can be an intrusion attempt. In that case, app will increase the login count on database. So that is a sad path. And the fifth sad step is also a sad path. Email is not found. In that case, app will error out. Now, let's look at the same flow, but with multiple threads. So right now we have an attacker. The attacker is trying to brute force the account with multiple threads. Now, give me 1 second. All right, so the app will, the attacker is trying to brute force the account, and they are sending multiple threads. And in these threads, email would be correct. Let's assume that the attacker figured out the correct email address, and they are trying various passwords. They don't know the password. So there are 4 different threads, and the app will check the username, password, and login count on DB. Since all these 4 threads are sent in parallel, when the apps check the database to check the login count, all of them will get the same response, that the login count is less than 0. So all of them, but if one of the requests has correct password, then it will app will create a session. If there is no match found, it won't create a session. Yeah, it will be much more simple to understand once you see the demo. So I will show you the demo. So yeah, here we are. I'm going to admin, creating an account, and then logging in as Tom. So I logged in as Tom. And I'm logging out. And I'm entering, going to the login button. And this time I'm clicking on Tom. And the correct password is filled by the application automatically, but I'm going to actively change the password a little so that it will be incorrect. So let's see. Oh, 1 second. Okay. First, I created default users, and then I'm clicking on login. Then, yeah, I'm logging in. Login is successful. Now I'm going back and providing incorrect password. And first it says login failed, but it says email exists on the system. Then I'm trying again. Then it says your account is locked out. So I only got 1 incorrect attempt. On the second incorrect attempt, it got locked out. The account got locked out. If I try to log in again, this time, third time, with correct username and password, the app won't let me since the account is locked out. So you have seen that in action. I provided the correct username and password, clicked on submit, and it says maximum login attempts reached. If you go to settings, you can see that the maximum login attempts count is 1. So if you go more than that, if you provide wrong password 2 times, your account will get locked out. Now I'm going to manage users, and if you go here and admin section and manage users, you can see that the login attempts count is 1. Now I'm going to go to the main weights section, and I'm adding a delay there, 5, and clicking, or 9. I'm clicking on the update button. All right, now I'm logging in as Jerry, but I'm changing the password. And what I'm doing this time is that I'm opening up a different browser, or you can just open incognito or private window. I'm doing the same thing there. And what I'm doing is that I'm opening multiple browsers, and in all of them, I'm doing the same thing. And you can see there are 4 different browsers. And in first 3 of them, I'm providing wrong password as the input. And on the last one, I will provide correct username and password. This time, we are using the account of Jerry, since Tom's account is already logged. Then I will click on this submit button as soon as possible. There is a 9 seconds delay for write operation since we have enabled bullet time feature with 9 seconds. So I just have to click on the submit button within 9 seconds. Looks like all the requests are gone, and it will take some time because of the delay. So we will have to wait 9 seconds for all the requests to finish. Once that is finished, you can see that in all the first 3 browsers, you get an error message, but in the last one, you were able to log into the session. And if you go to admin, manage users, you can see that the login attempts count has reached to 3. It wouldn't have been went more than 1 if we were trying this one by one. Like one thread after the other. But since we sent all the threads together, we were able to make the count go more than 1. All right, now if you go to the score page, you will see that you have scored points for completing the second challenge, brute force login page. And we are solving it using bullet time. So we are adding a delay. And why is that important? So when you are performing like as testing on your application, something that you want, or you are doing some source code assisted review of an application, in that time, to make it easy for you to find out TOCTOU issues, you can add these type of delays in the application. So you just have to put delay, whatever delay function supported by that programming language before any write operation, and then you can test the application this way. And that is one of the easiest method to find TOCTOU issues. But in real life, if you are performing a pen test or some other target where you don't have any control, you don't have access to source code, you can compile the application. In that case, you can do that, and that's why we will discuss other mechanisms to find and exploit TOCTOU issues. So yeah, this time we are going to use browsers dev tools. So I'm going to login page. I'm clicking on Tom, clicking the submit button. Okay, I need to reset the database. I resetted the database, clicked on Tom, and I'm able to log in. I'll log out, and this time I'm changing the password a little so that the password will be incorrect. And I'm submitting it multiple times to see if the account is getting logged out or not. And the account is logged out. So this functionality is working fine. Now, we will go to inspect element. So this is just opening up browser dev tools. We will submit the request again. And this time we need to go to the request and copy it as fetch. Right click on the request and copy the request as fetch. Then you go to the console tab of the browser dev tools, paste that request. Once that is pasted, you are going to see a big chunk of the request parameters. You don't need all these, so you can trim it down a little. First, I'm changing the username to Jerry. So the password would be Jerry as full. But I'm making the password incorrect. So I'm just putting 1, 2, 3, 4. So the request needs to be separated by a comma. So I'm change the final semicolon to comma. I'm copy pasting the request a couple of times. Since JavaScript makes asynchronous calls, these requests will go in parallel. So I'm creating multiple requests, all of them separated by comma, and finally I will end it with a semicolon. Now I'm going to submit it, but I have changed the last parameter to the correct password. So all the initial ones will be having wrong password, and the last one will be correct password. And I'm submitting them, and all of these requests will go in parallel. I will go to network tab and I will clear everything so that we can see all these requests. I've clicked the press the enter button. Now, if you go to the network tab, you can see lots of requests, and you can see the response status. And if you look here, you can see that all the initial requests got 200 response except one. One of them got 302. That means there was a redirect. That means that particular request was successful. So then after that, there is an index.php. That means the application redirected me to the index.php page after successful login. So if I want to get a login session, all I have to do is just right-click on the index.php page and open it in a new tab. So if you go to login.php, you can see the parameters that was sent. It was the correct username and password. Then you just open it in a new tab and you get a login session. So this is how you exploit the issue with DevTools. Now, this method will work in unauthenticated pages. So in this particular scenario, login page is not an authenticated page. So this will work. But it won't work in some scenarios. And that's what we are going to see. We will see another challenge. This time it is called ratings. So in ratings is similar to Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. But what is happening here is that there is a page, or there's, say, a photo or post or video which you can like. So if you click the like button once, the like count will increase. But if you click the like button again, if it is Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, it will remove that like. Now, what if you send multiple threads? Will you be able to defeat the system? And that's what we are going to see. So here, we are going to see if that is possible or not using bullet time feature. So I'm going to admin, resetting the database and creating default users. When you click on create default users, it will create all the 4 user accounts: Tom, Jerry, Spike, and Tag. So you don't have to go to sign up page and create the user accounts yourselves. So it is recommended to do that resetting and creating default users multiple times when you are exploring the lab. All right, then I'm logging in as Tom, then going to rate the program page. If I click on the love button once, it will create a rating. If I click on it again, it will remove the rating. Now I'm logging in again from a different browser as the same user. And on the first page, on the first browser, I'm going to settings and adding a delay to enable bullet time feature, and it is 5 seconds. On the first browser, I'm clicking on the love button, and immediately I'm clicking on this second love button as well on the second browser. We will wait for the, and so you can see that once the page is loaded, we're able to make 2 ratings. So that means from one user account, you were able to like or rate that particular post twice. So if you send multiple requests, say for example 10 or 50 or thousands of requests, you would be able to like your picture or post multiple times without having to create a fake user account. So that is how you solve that challenge with the bullet time feature. Let's see whether we can solve it using DevTools. So I'm going to admin page and resetting the database and creating default users. I'm going to log in as Tom, and then I'm going to write the program page. I'm clicking the allow button to see whether it is the functionality is working or not. It is working well. I'm going to browser dev tools, go to network tab, and clicking on the allow button. Then I'm copying that particular request as fetch. Then I'm going to the console tab of the browser dev tools. Before pasting, I'm going to Notepad and I'm pasting the request. We don't need all these parameters. I'm trimming that down to make it the bare minimum request that works. Now I'm separating that with comma and pasting it multiple times to create multiple requests. And I'm copying that, pasting that onto browser console, pasting it, and press enter. And if I refresh the page, it says you have only 1 rating. So this did not work. So we were not able to exploit the issue using browser dev tools. Why we were not able to solve the issue? Because we were able to solve this login challenge using browser dev tools, but we were not able to do the same thing on the ratings page. So what exactly happened here? So there are 3 things that prevented us from exploiting TOCTOU issue in the ratings page. 1, CSRF prevention token. So there's a CSRF prevention token in there, and that token is valid only for 1 request. So when you send multiple requests, though that its CSRF token itself will prevent your exploit from being successful. So you need multiple CSRF tokens to be successful. You can get that easily. You just need to log in as Tom and navigate to the ratings page and from different, from 1 or 2 browsers to get different CSRF tokens. So you can solve it that way. Second issue is with the session tokens. When the user is cookied, when there is a cookie or there is a session token session in place, PHP is able to, I don't know whether it is PHP or Apache doing that, but it will be able to, web server will be able to differentiate these requests. So they know that, hey, there are 2 threads or more than 2 threads coming from same session. So when that happens, it will queue them and it will process them one by one. And we want to avoid that. So the only way to avoid that would be by creating valid session tokens, like multiple valid session tokens. How to do that? You can do that, again, by going to different browsers and logging in again and again, and you will get different session tokens that way. So yeah, that's how you can solve them. And there can be other challenges as well. Sometimes some applications can limit requests coming from same IP address. So those type of limitations can be there. In that case, you have to do it from different places. Another different IP addresses. Another problem that can happen, which is affecting dev tools, is that the fetch requests are not able to send cookies. So even if we provide multiple, like a session IDs, PHP session IDs or JSession IDs, even if we pass them, fetch requests are not able to send these cookies. So we need something that can send session cookies separately. So for that, we can't use DevTools. We need something better. And for that, we will use curl. So let's see how we can solve this particular challenge using curl. So again, I'm going to web app admin, clearing the database and creating default users. I'm logging in as Tom, and then navigating to rate the program page. I'm doing the same thing on a different browser. So on a second browser, I'm going to the web app, logging in as Tom. So it is the same user, and navigating to rate the program page. Now I'm clicking on inspect element, going to network tab, clicking on the love button, and this time I will right-click on the request and copy it as curl. So this time we are copying it as curl, not as fetch. I'm pasting it on Notepad. And again, similar to fetch requests, we have lots of unwanted headers in here. We can remove all them and trim them down to a small version so that we can understand it better. So we just need session cookie and the CSRF token and the whatever that is appended to that. So we have one request. So similarly, we have to get session ID and CSRF token for the other request as well. So we are copying them both. This time we are separating them with an ampersand symbol. All right. So we have two requests now. Again, this one, we can remove unwanted headers. Since it is curl request, we can't send them from browser. So we will have to open terminal or command line to request them. So we are just checking whether we have any ratings or not. So it says no ratings. So I will paste it on the terminal and press the enter button. Now, if you refresh the page, you can see that you have 2 ratings. So with scale, we were able to solve the challenge. Now, this looks good. If you want to just test it on an application that you are testing on, right? What if you want to have this test on your CI/CD pipeline as part of, say, like QA security test or something? You want something that can scale, and that is where I'm going to introduce you to another tool called Raise the Web. So Raise the Web tool is developed by Aaron, who was my coworker in SecurityCompass. And this tool is written in Go language, and it is pretty fast, and it is CI/CD friendly. So let's see how we can solve the same challenge using Raise the Web tool. Again, I'm resetting the database, creating default users. I'm going to login page, and I'm logging in as Tom. So before that, I'm opening an incognito window as well. And in both the browsers, I'm logging in as Tom. And I will navigate to Rate the Program page on both the browsers. Now, I'm going to inspect element. So we need to fetch 2 data. One is cookie, the PHP session ID value. So we need to obtain that from both the browsers. Similarly, we need to get the CSRF prevention token as well. What you see here is a TOML file. TOML files are similar to YAML files, but and in that you can give request details. So in this, you can see that there is on line number 3, there is count 1. That means this request needs to be sent exactly 1 time. And I'm setting verbosity to false. That means I don't want to see lots of information on the screen. And you can see that both requests are going to be posted. There is a URL, the URL in which I need to send request to. I have put localhost 7970. I need to remove that port number before firing this request. Then in the body, there is a CSRF prevention token, and there's a cookies field in which you have to give the PHP session ID. So based on your request, you need to change this parameter. So I'm pasting PHP session ID from the first browser, and now I need to get the CSRF prevention token from the first browser. It can be done by inspecting the love button, and yeah, there it is. You can find that in the form. So I'm replacing the CSRF prevention token on the file with the new one. We have to repeat the same steps for the second browser as well. So first, I will get the CSRF prevention token. On the second request, I will replace the existing one with the new one. Now we need PHP session ID from the second browser. I'm removing the port because it is just localhost. Now I need to run this tool. So for that, I'm going to terminal, and I'm just running raise the web and supplying the toml file. And once it is executed, if you refresh the page, you can see that there are 2 ratings since we sent 2 requests. So this is the tool raise the web. And I'll highly recommend watching this video. It is Aaron releasing this particular tool, Raise the Web tool, and you can see the toml file as well. In this particular session, he's also talking about prevention mechanisms, how we can prevent TOCTOU issues in web applications. I am not, so in today's session, I'm not going to discuss about that. Today's session is entirely focusing on introducing this particular lab to you and how to find and exploit them. But if you are interested in knowing how to fix them or what are the ways in which you can fix them, this talk is recommended. So like I said, Starbucks had TOCTOU in 2015. But after that, many people have started finding these type of issues in bug bounties as well. But all of them are, almost all of them are still focusing on money transfer kind of scenarios. I rarely see people talking about TOCTOU issues in, say, like ratings pages or login pages or similar scenarios. So hopefully, more people will learn about these type of issues, and they will try to find these issues when they perform pen testing, source code reviews, or do bug bounties. Or TOCTOU was never in OWASP top 10. It was not in SANS top 25 as well. But it doesn't mean that TOCTOU issues are not dangerous. It is not something that can be ignored, because when the issues is found, it can be really lethal. So attackers need just one open door to make it to the application, right? They just need one open door. And that open door doesn't necessarily have to come from OWASP top 10 or SANS top 25. So TOCTOU issues are really serious, and I'm sure that there are lots of applications out there which has TOCTOU issues present. It is just that nobody spent time to actually check whether the application has that issue or not. If you look at any of the commercial or open source scanners, at least I don't know any of the commercial scanners or open source scanners which are capable of finding TOCTOU issues by going through the source code, like by doing SAS scanning or by DAS scanning. So those tools are not catching it, so they are not being reported in the wild. So that means many of the applications sitting out there may have these issues present in them. It is just waiting for somebody to come and find out. In 1993, at least 3 patients died and several people injured due to a race condition issue in a radiotherapy system. The Northeast blackout of 2003, which was a widespread power outage here in Canada and in the US, was also caused by a race condition bug. So yeah, I just wanted to say that these issues are real, and maybe you can find these issues. If you want to learn more, I will recommend you to go to timegaptheory.com. If you want to read the book, I have the book is a hand guide. It walks you through all the challenges and how to solve them using all these tools. You can get a free version at book.timegaptheory.com. And yeah, that's all I had. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Thanks for the great talk, Abhi. We'll just wait a couple minutes since there is a slight delay with the stream to see if anybody posts any questions. But yeah, I think that went really well.
Sure, thank you. Yeah.
Are there any other resources or anything that you'd recommend aside from your project that people can check out if they're interested in learning more about like this class of issues?
That's a good question. So in the book and in the website, I have given some links. So one is Aaron's session, and there are good papers out there discussing about these prevention mechanisms. One thing I found really interesting is that there is a tendency to say, hey, when you have a race condition issue, you can say, hey, introduce logs. So logs is a nice mechanism to prevent these type of issues from happening. So what logs does is that it will, when before performing time of check, it will lock the variable or the database state. Then it needs to release the lock before somebody can make any write operation or modification operation. So what I found interesting is that logs are dangerous. So if you don't design those systems carefully, logs itself can introduce another issue, which are called deadlocks. So once that happens, two threads may try to lock, and one thread may forget to unlock the particular variable. Or say, for example, two threads can lock a particular variable, and when one thread tried to unlock it, it may see the lock from the other thread, so it won't be able to lock it. And the same thing can happen with the second thread, and it can create deadlocks, and it can introduce new type of issues. So that is something I'm still exploring. So I'm still learning on that portion. Like what are the implications if you don't design TOCTOU defenses carefully? So I'll be and I'm trying to figure that out, and I will in coming days. I think I'll be able to come up with some amendments or some supplementary notes to the book. So yeah, I'll be releasing them somewhere. So please watch out in any of the channels where TimeGap Theory posts to see those updates. We also have a Reddit subreddit and a Slack channel for discussing these type of things. So if you have any questions or if you want to discuss about these things, you can drop in there.
That's awesome. And we'll post those links in the live chat so people can find them easily. Had a couple people say that it was a great talk and they're looking forward to trying out the challenges. But I think otherwise, that's about it for today. So thanks everyone for attending this session. And yeah, have a great rest of your night.
Thank you.
We just have one final question here. So eGenius says, OWASP, what should I do as a job seeker? I guess he means, they mean to find a job in this industry.
I think Adam would be a better person to answer that question compared to me. So I will give that. Adam is a very nice fellow. He does much more research than me, and I totally respect and I want to hear the answer from him. So I will point this question to Adam.
All right, that reverse card right there. Yeah, certainly. So I think if you're a job seeker, I think it helps to first identify like what area of the industry you want to go into first. Whether that is like penetration testing or like forensics or blue team or software development, like secure software development, etc. Because I think that will be it'll kind of give you a target to go for. And then once you have that in mind, then I think going to get like a formal education is definitely beneficial. Like, you know, Sheridan or Seneca, like, you know, a lot of InfoSec practitioners in Ontario have graduated from one of those two schools, as well as UOIT, you know, Guelph, etc. But if you don't want to go such a formal route, I think it's beneficial to get hands-on experience somehow. So either doing like security certifications, like if you want to be a pen tester, get your OSCP. I think there's also like more blue team certifications, but I can't really vouch for those. So, you know, I would reach out to somebody in the industry who is doing what you want to do and try to pick their brains. But honestly, like we've seen people at SecurityCompass who have been hired based on just showing like a keen interest and, you know, like even just getting a high school diploma. So yeah, so the range of you know how to get industry is very, very huge. So yeah, so it's really just, you know, get involved, you know, come to OWASP, that kind of thing.
To add to that, I have a few notes since we are on that topic. If you just want to get started with OWASP, I think from a offensive security standpoint, to learn about security issues in general, OWASP Juice Shop is a great start. That will give you introduction to OWASP top 10 and related defenses and everything. Then based on, say, like if you like Java, you can try OWASP WebGot. And if you want to explore in cloud, there is Cloud Code. So similar vulnerable applications are a great start. One thing, like Adam said, one thing I found with information security is that this field is still maturing, right? So there are new type of job roles being created. So if you ask like 10 years ago, if you say, hey, these type of job roles will exist in future, they'll say, oh, no, I don't think so. But that's how it is. There are new changes happening, and companies are hiring people really based on talent. So even if you don't have a formal education, information security is a great place to start as long as you're interested in it. Then another thing I love about information security field is that there is space for everybody, and there is space for various talents. I'm coming from a background, like an electronics background, and I have space for that. So if I want to do like IoT, those type of things, there is space for that. I am also very visual person, so I'm interested in those type of things, like creating cool interfaces, those type of things, and there is space for that. And if you are a person who doesn't like, say, web applications, but who likes mobile applications or infrastructure or network, those type of things, there is security focused on that, and there is space for that. And I have seen people coming from like a diverse backgrounds and combining their knowledge with information security and putting themselves in a very unique position that no one else can say, hey, I know another person who can do that. No. So there are unique people like that, and companies need those type of people, right? And they get paid well as well. So yeah, that's what I wanted to add.
Yeah, totally agree with that. Any other questions about that?
I think the original asker of the question seems like that was a sufficient answer for them. So I think we're good.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thanks very much, everyone. Thanks again for attending OWASP.
Take care, everyone.
Good.